Hello, anybody who's watching this. Welcome to my reaction to the Deadman Switch hostage crisis. Tales from the Bottle by Cukes here. First of all, this is the last video in this batch that was recommended by Tom Vinton. Um, yeah, that's it. And thank you, Tom, of course. That's kind of goes without saying. I am grateful, as always, to you. And what I want to say that I have no idea what the title means. Like, it feels very specific. Like before, like tank goes on a rampage, I could get that. The killdozer, a man-made tank, is that what it says? I don't remember, but I can understand. Like, okay, guy built a tank for himself, probably out of a bulldozer because it's called a killdozer. But here, what? Deadman Switch hostage crisis? Deadman Switch? Is that an item? Is that a location? Is that a situation? Deadman Switch. Feels like something from chess. I don't know. Like when you switch the, is it the king with the, I don't know the terms in English, with the last thing that goes horizontally and vertically only. Like you do that. I can't even remember the name of the move, but whatever. Feels something like a Deadman switch. Like if it's a checkmate for you, you can do a switch, and it's called a Deadman switch because it's a checkmate. I guess checkmate wouldn't allow any switches, but a check. Yes, a check. I was trying to remember, is it a check or a mate? If it's not the end of the game. Anyway, if you want to be like Tom and recommend me a video or two or six, last time I did this joke it was or four, but now you overdid yourself, Tom, and it was 6 videos, but you know that already. Yeah, you can use my donation link in the description below, under this video, or the last one, or the last one, or the last one before that, on every video, from a certain point, because I don't care of adding in descriptions for all videos. Anyway, let's just begin and finally understand what that means.
I still sometimes have nightmares I'm back in school or college and I'm doing an exam that I haven't studied for. It's a bit annoying knowing my brain could concoct an endless amount of imagined scenarios, but yet keeps putting me back to events I experienced hundreds of times in real life. But thankfully my experience in
I don't know why, but I very rarely get any dreams at all. And I don't think I've ever had a nightmare or like a paralysis demon or whatever, when you like half awake and you can't move but you conscious. I've never had any of that, which is good, but my brain would do this, put me in a weird situation when I'm awake. That I assuming that's ADHD, maybe something else, just brain goes into like a shitty memory I hate. Stop talking, just
education was
nobody
notably
cares.
lacking in any real nightmares, for me anyways. I witnessed plenty of things that were definitely psychologically scarring for other kids, but well, who cares? It builds character.
Same.
I had my fun, and that's all that matters. But for people who live in, let's
That's
just say, other parts of the world,
way
where mass
around the
violence in
globe.
schools is a little more common, things might not be as easy to shake off. Take, for example, the 136 kids held hostage in an elementary school by
136.
two
Oh
loons with
shit.
a bomb set to blow up if they're incapacitated. Our story takes us to
Okay.
1986 Wyoming, USA, to the town of Cokeville. Ah yes, many a night I've visited there myself. David
Okay.
Young, 43, who was then living in Arizona but had been Cokeville's town marshal in the past, had become a recluse, focusing on his philosophical readings and writings. During this time, he had
Okay.
devised a scheme to create what he called a brave new world. The scheme, which he referred to as the Biggie, also involved a
Doesn't sound
get-rich-quick
good.
plan, which is how he enticed longtime friends Gerald Depp and Doyle Mendenhall to become invested in his idea. That was until the
Okay.
day came to carry out the Biggie and they learned what was involved. David planned to bring an arsenal of guns and a homemade bomb to Cokeville Elementary School, where he would take the kids hostage and demand a
Okay.
$2 million ransom for each. Gerald and Doyle refused to participate in this, but David couldn't risk them
For
going to
each
the
kid?
authorities with his plan, so he
For
took
each
them
person?
captive at gunpoint and handcuffed them in the back of his rented van. He still wasn't
Okay.
alone, though. By his side, he had his wife Doris and his daughter from a previous marriage, Princess. Calling his daughter Princess should have been the first clue that this guy was a nut. Calling
Yeah.
your child some shit like Miracle or Angel or Gift or any of that bonkers crap should get you automatically thrown in prison.
I hate that, and I hate when people call their children with their own name. Just like, I guess in non-Russian countries it become like the same name but junior. It's just like, what the fuck? Why? And in Russia we have, instead of like a name and the last name and a middle name that I don't know what countries have specifically, but I know America has it now. But in Russia we have a name, a last name, and a fatherhood name. It's just the name of the father that changes a little bit and becomes like my father Igor, and my fatherhood name is Igorevich. So I hate when people call their children, I guess especially male because it's much more obvious, but like it would be like Sergei, Sergei Sergeyevich. Just shut the fuck up and fuck off. Come up with a fucking name instead of giving your own name to somebody. You ungrateful fuck.
Don't take chances with these people. They had a very simple task of
Sorry for
naming
that
their
rant.
child, and they fucked it up. They think their offspring are better than everyone else on the planet. Well, put me in a boxing match with your baby and we'll see who's better. Even Princess herself recognized her father's insanity and aborted the plan shortly after arriving at Cokeville Elementary School around 1 p.m. on Friday, May 16th, 1986. Taking the van with Gerald and Doyle in it to the town hall, she alerted the authorities that David and Doris were going to take the elementary school hostage. Even with Princess abandoning the plan, David and Doris were undeterred and entered the school, hauling a number of rifles and pushing a shopping trolley carrying a homemade gasoline bomb. David takes the weapons to an empty classroom, while Doris goes class to class, luring teachers and students to the room David is occupying by telling them there is an assembly. In total, they rounded up 136 children and 18 adults. David hands out his philosophical manifesto entitled Zero Equals Infinity and announces, "This is a revolution," and other delusional statements. He had also sent the manifesto to President Ronald Reagan and various other authorities and media outlets. Parked in the center of the room, David stood over the shopping trolley bomb, the circuit to which was interrupted by a piece of wood, which was attached by a piece of string to David's wrist. Should David pull away from the bomb, the wooden piece would dislodge and complete the circuit, detonating
Feels like
the
you
bomb.
can accidentally
This meant
detonate
that
it.
not only could David detonate the bomb at any time, but it was also sort of a dead man's switch. If David were to be killed or incapacitated, the bomb would be detonated as he fell to the floor. This was understandably a stressful situation for everyone involved, and the 136 kids packed into the room became restless, which agitated David. The teachers tried to calm the kids down by playing games, watching movies, and saying prayers, but even then they were too rowdy for David's liking, which just goes to show you can't expect a group of kids to shut the fuck up for more than 2 minutes even if their lives depend on it. From his nonsensical ramblings to the sweat pouring off of him, it was obvious to the teachers that David was unhinged and liable to fly off the handle at a moment's notice. To stop the kids from violating David's space, a very annoying thing that kids are wont to do, the teachers used masking tape to mark an 8-foot square around him. This was the magic square that was not to be passed.
This is my no-no square. Don't touch me there. This is my no-no square. I'm ashamed.
And it worked. The kids stopped getting too close to David. However, enthralled by the magic square, many sat down outside it and watched David, which seemed to make him nervous. Eventually, David decided to go to the bathroom and hand over the bomb to Doris, who then attached the string to her wrist. The continued distress from the children was still an issue, made worse by the fact that part of David's bomb had sprung a leak, dripping gasoline and filling the room with fumes. This gave many present headaches, including Doris. The situation was about to unravel. Seeking to relieve the pain from the throbbing headache, Doris lifted her hand to rub her forehead, in
Oh,
doing so, accidentally detonating the bomb. The room was instantly engulfed in a fireball.
what the fuck?
When David re-enters the room, it is completely burnt. Survivors are escaping through the
Okay,
windows,
not
and
everybody
parents
died
are
at
breaking
least.
the police line to get to their children. Doris is badly charred, but still alive, in agony. David puts her out of her misery. He then opens fire on an escaping teacher, John Miller, and hits him in the back. With his plan in ruins, David returns to the bathroom and shoots himself in the head, putting an end to the hostage crisis. Many of the survivors are severely burnt, and the 79 injured need to be triaged in multiple hospitals across Wyoming and Idaho. However, no one but David and Doris is killed. Even John Miller survives his gunshot.
What?
Princess, Gerald Depp, and Doyle Mendenhall were never charged in relation to the incident due to their refusal to participate, which is maybe an unexpected outcome considering they all had some involvement. Princess went to the school with them, which she maybe didn't have a choice in given she was David's daughter,
Yes.
and she did.
I'm kind of fine with Princess not being charged at all. Only maybe for her name, but again, it's not her doing. But the other two kind of sponsored the project, even if they didn't know what that was. They still, if they disagreed immediately back then that wouldn't happen. Probably.
Did alert the police as soon as she got away. But I can't help but think if I had backed out of a bank robbery at the last second and told the police, I probably wouldn't get away scot-free.
Yeah.
And Gerald and Doyle were either down to commit some level of crime or just the two dumbest fucking people on the planet. How did they
Yes.
become so invested in this get-rich-quick scheme that they apparently had no details of? Could they not tell that David was disturbed? It was called The Biggie. At best, that sounds like a bank heist.
Yeah.
What
I
did
would-
they think it was?
Before putting my money into something like that, I wouldn't want to know the details.
Many of those present that day have since gone on to claim divine intervention saved the hostages. Many of the kids
Probably
claim
just a
to have
shitty
seen
bomb.
or heard angels in the room that day, and the event is often described as a miracle. Well, let's see. Deranged madman and wife take over 100 elementary school children hostage before accidentally
Miracle.
setting everyone on fire and killing themselves. Oh yeah, a
A
textbook miracle
miracle.
there. Straight out
Yeah.
of God's playbook. I can see the Christmas movie now. A Miracle
this.
on Cokeville. I'm just taking the piss, but there is actually a movie based on this called The Cokeville Miracle. It certainly is extraordinary that everyone survived, but I think this whole narrative of angels and all of this has been blown out of proportion. You may be saying, can you really discount that narrative when so many made separate claims of seeing or
The gas was leaking. Hallucinations are probably not a far off idea.
hearing angels?
Or gasoline.
Well, yeah. They were kids in a packed room
And also they
inhaling
were
gas
kids.
fumes. I'm sure many of them probably did see angels and all manner of other things. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, if it helps them sleep at night, what harm does it do? I'm happy for them. It's quite a tragedy for David and Doris, who definitely needed help before they got to this point, but it could
Yeah.
have been a much bigger tragedy. And if you like the video, I have many others that you can watch, and you can always subscribe to see more in the future. I also have a second channel, Cukester2, where I do highlight reels for my streams over on Twitch. And if you'd like to keep up to date with my antics, you can follow me on Twitter or join my Discord.
You
If
can
you'd
follow
like to
me on
support
Twitch.
me, you can buy a t-shirt
the
or
link is
donate
there.
over on Patreon.
God
All
damn
the
it.
links will be in the
Difficult.
description
It's there.
and pinned comment. Thanks, and until next time, adios.
Nice guitar. Anyway. Miracle my ass. Holy shit, that's stupid. It's like Noah's flood is a miracle. Why am I bringing Noah's flood again? That is a miracle, right? If it happened. But it didn't. It's calling that a miracle is the same kind of mindset, not really the same, but like a terrorist organization would have that do like terroristic acts for religion in religious purposes, something like that. You got what I mean. It's kind of the same mindset, is it not? Yeah, it's a miracle. Yeah. Fuck this. Tales from the bottle. You disappoint me because monkey died and now there's at least no kids died here, so that's good. That's very good. Yeah, they were injured, but and probably never fully recovered. Not from the horror, not mentally, not physically. But it could have turned out way, 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 way worse. Maybe if the leak didn't happen, there'll be more gasoline ready to be exploded. But I guess if leak didn't happen, the headache wouldn't happen, and she wouldn't have lifted her arm as well. It's a lot of ifs. But I'm always ifing different situations because it's kind of fun to do for me. Just to think of what could go differently. Just how my brain works. No, I don't care. I don't care. That's not the line I wanted to say anyway. Uh, thank you anybody for watched. Who? Wow, really? This is the last video, brain. I know you can shut down now, but Jesus Christ, let me finish. Thank you anybody. Thank you anybody who watched this. Is that what I say? Sure. Thank you anybody who watched this. And thank you Tom Vinton for recommending this, for sponsoring this video. And I hope to see everybody next time. Goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.